Hello, everyone. I'm Claire Boardman, and welcome to the Illuminate You podcast series. And this is episode 7. So, simply put, I can see, read, and work with field of consciousness. This is the consciousness soup that is all around each and every one of us, in which we have to navigate life. So, in our journey together to navigate life more smoothly and easily and simply, we've been examining step by step different aspects of us and how we can make that journey, traveling through that field of consciousness, a bit more easy for ourselves. So far, we've been looking more recently at our identities. We've been looking at creating boundaries, perhaps, for ourselves in terms of consent and permission, and what it is we want to experience in life, and giving ourselves that permission to do so. And in this particular episode, we're going to be taking it a little bit further again, just to focus and concentrate on our past, present, and future experiences and how they play in to our journey in the here and now, and trying to make it so much easier. So, we've been talking already in this series about motorway lanes. And, obviously, in terms of the future lanes, it's very much a part of this podcast and the objectives of it to enable you to see your infinite potential in terms of those lanes and have the ability to engage them. These are lanes that align with you and who you are in the best possible way. So, and that in turn will lead you to more lanes of the same. So when we look at our past lanes, these are the lanes, the paths that we've already traveled to the present. And then we look at the present lanes, which are the lanes that we're living and traveling on in the moment. And then we look at the future lanes, the ones that lay ahead. Now, when we have and compare each of these lanes and where our current focus is, it's very easy for us to forget to live in the current lane, the here and now, and to focus too much on the past or too much on the future, and then miss effectively the present, the current lane. That's an easy thing for us to get sucked into. And that's relevant when we're looking at our personal space and how we use it, yes. But for the purposes of this episode, we're going to be focusing instead on how perhaps the impact of the lanes from your past are impacting you in the here and now, and then also in the future. Because when I go into someone and have a look at their past lanes, and as you know, I see them like motorway lanes lit up, and that's why I call them and refer to them as motorway lanes. When I look at those past paths in this particular life, I can see and recognize certain things. One of the most common interferences with paths, whether they be past, present, or future, is conscious interference. That's interference from our mind, ego, body, mostly. Or perhaps, if you're not sovereign, it's interference from other people's energies in terms of those paths. So that's one thing to consider when we're looking at our journey today with this episode, and clearing and coming to a peace with our past paths. One of the things that we can perhaps consider consenting to is consenting, giving ourselves permission to move on from the past, and to give ourselves permission to find a peace with the past. Because when we find a peace with our past journey to here, here and now. A light will shine, if you like, on that path. And visibly, when I'm looking at somebody's paths in this way, that's exactly what I see. When a path doesn't have that light, when that peace hasn't been found, that path is then interfering with the current and the future paths that you have the options to move on to ahead. This is about engaging in paths. This is not about opening up with possibilities, because we've done that. We can see future paths, but we need the ability to engage them, to take them. When we choose from our heart our future path that feels right and best for us, that's great that we can see them, and it's great that we're choosing which is best and in our highest interest to move forwards on. But do we have the ability to engage with it? Is something stopping us? You know, we can see it. It's almost like there's a gap between where we are now. We can see it, but there's like a gap. We can't quite reach it. It's not quite kicking in. It's not quite happening. It's not quite starting. Why is that? And one of the key reasons I've given you is conscious interference with mind and ego and body, as an example. And we've already worked briefly on those. And one of the other aspects that hold us back with engaging in those paths, either in the current moment or in the future, is the past and not bringing a peace to it. So we need to be thinking about giving ourselves permission in bringing a peace. But we need to be thinking about what needs to be done to help us bring a peace to it. Because we can give permission to bring a peace, and that's likely to bring things and make them visible which need a peace bringing. So, and this is about allowing what needs to surface to come out to the surface for us to learn why it's still there and why we haven't been able to create a peace. And then it's about neutralizing it, realizing what it is we need to do to bring that peace, whatever it is. And once we've done that, we can let it go. We can let go, and a peace is brought. But there might be many things that you need to bring a peace to in the past. It might be that the learning that needs to be done and why a peace hasn't been brought, it might be that the learning is still needed. What is it? What will allow you to let this go and feel a sense of peace? Because if it's something about yourself and it's learning about you, that's fairly easy for us to take it on the chin and take what we can from it in a positive sense as much as we can, to help us be stronger, to help us avoid making the same mistakes perhaps for the future. Whatever it is we need to do to learn for ourselves, we have the ability to do that if we give ourselves permission to do so. When it involves somebody else, however, and perhaps when it involves somebody else that you feel has acted and behaved in a way that's not acceptable for whatever reason, and that behavior has affected you, when it involves that other person or people, then it's about realizing you don't have control of their learning. That's theirs to do. That's their learning. You have control of your own, and that's the key thing. When people don't learn things keep happening until you do learn. So that's why your learning is key. That's why and how it affects your future paths, because those learnings keep coming up and they become a bit of a barrier eventually to you seeing and achieving things in the future. So The things that have happened in the past, when they affect you, in whatever way they affect you, learn what you need to learn. And perhaps you didn't realize at the time, you don't know what you don't know in life. And learning can be one of the greatest paradox moments that enables such great change in our life. So don't be scared to learn. Don't fear learning. It will help you in the future. It will stop you repeating things. It will help you to be stronger. It will help and achieve so much more when you learn and you bring a peace to that learning. And when it involves other people, then it's their responsibility to take the learning themselves. It's not your responsibility to do it for them. And it's about letting go of that responsibility and need to help them learn, because they've got to take responsibility for that themselves. And if that means they've got to repeat, or a similar situation happens for them over and over again until they do learn, that's their journey. That's not for you to get involved with. And that's how we end up being able to separate ourselves and bring a sovereignty and a peace to the past, to those past cars, those past motorway lanes, if they involve anything like that, which are often the hardest to bring a peace to. So, when you give yourself permission to bring that peace and things appear to help you do so, then let go and release. Know that you have the power. You have the ability to say, I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to have this haunting me, or I want to let it go. I've learned everything I need to learn. Body, ego, mind, let it go. I don't want it affecting us any longer. We've learned everything we need to learn. It's now time to move on. And I bring my peace to it. Allow yourself permission to do that. And that will enable you then to focus on the here and now, in the moment, more clearly. Because it's such a huge distraction. We've got stuff coming up from the past all the time. So, living in the here and now, that's an opportunity when we've got a grip on who we are, and we can see what we're creating. We can see perhaps the light of our identity helping us to create the life that we are around us. That just enables us to do it in a very clear, sovereign way, without interference from others, without interference from our past experiences. But when we're living in the here and now like that, it also enables us to start looking at the future lane, a bit more seriously. And when we can see and open them up to all possibilities, as we've already discussed, and we understand how to do that, it then helps us, when we've cleared all those things, it helps us to engage with those paths that we're choosing from our hearts. It helps to engage with them straight away. We don't have that gap. We don't have that hesitation. We don't have that resistance. And we are driving the ship. We're telling our bodies what to release. We're telling ourselves what we consent to. We understand exactly who we are, and we understand exactly where we want to go. So this is about empowering ourselves with everything that we're putting together week by week. We're now getting into a situation where cumulatively we're in a far better position, with a far better view and clarity of who we are and where we're going. These are all keys to manifestation and the ability then to experience the magic that life has to offer us. So I hope that you've enjoyed another episode on this journey together, and I'll see you next time for episode 8, where we're going to be exploring something else to add to our growing accumulative layers that really now are coming together and allowing us to be us in the true sense. Bye for now, and I'll see you next time.